about how to hang closet shelving. One of the most common problems in shelving today is that home builders come along and they try to just put up things as fast as they can. The shelving that's behind you see, is a wire shelving. You can get this at any of your hardware stores. They do have supports and everything like this that you need, and builders are coming along and putting those in. The challenge, though, is they're not built for their sturdiness, and so when you start having a lot of extra stuff stored up on the shelving on top and then underneath there for clothing, the problem becomes that it becomes too heavy for the support system. So oftentimes you don't know there's a problem until that system fails. And that's what happened in this particular situation, where the homeowner says, oh my gosh, I've got all my clothing and shoes and everything like this stacked up on this wire shelving, and now it's failed. And so we need to do something different. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is how to improve the closet shelving system. If you take a close look right here, this system has failed because of the weight that was placed upon it, and it had completely come out of the wall. And this happened all the way around in the room itself. And this closet here is a nice 5 by 10 foot walk-in closet. Now, as you can tell here, the support system has completely pulled out of the wall itself and has done some wall damage. So in order to stop the damage that's happening here, we had to completely empty all the shelves, take this shelving down throughout the room, and then remove the support systems. These support systems go along the length of the wall, as you can tell here, and has completely come out. Now let's talk about the first step, and that's locating the studs. There's two ways to find a stud in a wall. One is use the old-fashioned way, which is take a hammer and just knock on the wall until you hear a solid sound versus the hollow sound between the studs. Or you can take a stud sensor like this and use it to find the stud that's behind the sheetrock. What I do here is use my hammer, and I'm going to use the rubber end of my hammer so I don't damage the wall at all. So I start here in the corner of the wall. I know there's going to be a stud right here, and so what I'm going to do is keep tapping to my left until I hear a solid sound. Hear how deep it is right here? So that means there's no stud right there. So that's my first solid sound, and that means there's a stud right here. So I'm going to make a mark and put a nail in it right there. So now I've located the stud, and you can tell I've missed it a couple of times. It's all right, we can patch that up. So that's my first mark. As a general rule, the studs in a wall are sometimes between 16 and 24 inches. So I'm going to mark from my nail 16 inches, tap the wall, and see if there is a stud there. If not, I'm going to move it over 24 inches. Okay, here's the 16-inch mark. I'll take my hammer. Okay, it sounds pretty solid. And then here's the 24-inch mark where I'm going to also tap the wall to see if there's a stud here. And there's no, it's a hollow sound. So I'm going to go back to my 16-inch center. Now this particular device that I have in my hand is called a stud sensor or stud finder. And what I like to do on it is use it when I do not want to be marking up the wall with a bunch of holes trying to find the stud. So I will use this. It has a little blinking part, and you saw that. Here it is. So this will tell you when you find the stud. So what you do, you move it from left to right very slowly along the wall until you hear the beep and see the red light. So let's try that. Okay, right there is where the stud is already. So you hear it sensing, and you saw the red light. Well, that's how it goes there. So what I do now is just mark my stud. Okay, I've located my studs on the wall that I'm going to secure the fast track into, and we're ready to move to the next step. What I'm using here is the Rubbermaid fast track system. It's got 2 grooves on the inside, and the rack itself will be mounted on this. Now, to mount the fast track rack system, I'm going to use a level to make sure that I have a straight line and that everything's hung correctly and properly. That way, when I put up the shelving itself, it'll be secured to the wall. So here's my first hole that I've made in the wall, and that's my stud behind this hole. So that's what I'm going to secure into. What I want to do here is take my level and make sure I got a straight line. So we're going to move it into where we can see, and I want to make sure my line is straight. So I'm going to look at the bubble on the inside here. I move it left to right and make the bubble move. So when I have it perfectly right, then that tells me it's a straight line, it's a level line. So we're going to go ahead and mark my stud, and to make sure that I get directly into the stud itself, all up and down the fast track. Now we're ready to go ahead and secure the fast track onto the wall and into the studs. Now we're ready to go to the next step, which is to secure the fast track into the wall, into the studs themselves. What I'm using here is a cordless drill, the fast track system itself, and I'm using 2-inch wood screws. Okay, now I'm ready to go ahead and secure the screw into the wall. There, secure. Now once I've secured this, I do this throughout the room, secure all the fast track to the same level. To ensure that all of my shelving is hung correctly and evenly, I'm going to go ahead and mark the bottom of my first track, and I've got it at 46 5/8 inches from the ground up. So this will happen all the way around the room to make sure all my shelves are level. Okay, what I do on this step here is after I get the fast track up, I make sure that everything's level. So I put a level across the top and make sure I do have a true level on my shelving. So as you can see here, the double tracks at the top, I'm going to place this in the right position, and these tracks will actually fit into the holes up here on the side. They fit inside like here. Just place them right directly inside and then pull down until it snaps. Now it's completely in. Now what I have here is a shelf and rod bracket system, and I'm going to place this directly below the fast track that I just installed on the wall. I'm going to put 2 of these underneath, 1 at each end. Then I'm going to hang the rod itself or the clothes rack to be secured to this particular part right here. Okay, now I've got my system all up on the wall, mounted with the studs, and I've cut the boards. And so now I'm going to place the boards, the shelving boards, on top. So we've completed this step in securing the shelving to the wall. The brackets are up, clothes rack is up, and now we're finished. This is Rick Patterson.